Great cities are places where people want to be. They're places where people come together, they gather, they celebrate, they make memories.
Yeah, Denver's a great city because it really brings together every aspect that you could want. It's got an urban downtown with a mountain backyard. We've got rivers, we've got lakes, and we've got people that really truly enjoy all of those things. We're trying to take all the best components of that and put it in one neighborhood.
So the River Mile is a future major downtown neighborhood on the 62 acres that now houses an amusement park. We're looking forward to probably a 25-year build out, which will be what we think is an exciting addition to the Denver area.
Well, we're bringing together a new community. I think a lot of the vision comes down at the street level, interaction with nature, interaction with the river, how we flow through the city.
It's a mixed-use development. It offers all sorts of opportunities to interact with the river, which is what, to me, makes it special. It's not just a place on the banks of the river that overlook the river, but it actually brings the river into the development and allows its attendees to interact with the river, providing opportunities for recreation, a place to sit, a place to gather, a place to celebrate.
Well, the River Mile is zoned for 14.5 million square feet of built environment, roughly 7 million square feet of office space, and the rest mixed-use urban infill, residential, retail. We'll have a community center, among other things, to activate the space. The streetscapes is where I think we really set ourselves aside. We've taken examples from across the globe and best examples across the nation to make our transportation network for pedestrians and all forms of transportation really world-class.
The River Mile is really about opening up the city to the river in a way that hasn't been done in Denver before. You could be walking out your front door of a townhome that we build on the path by the river. You could be fly fishing, you could be doing yoga, you could be riding your bike, you could be walking, you could be meditating, you could be doing any number of things. But I think, like many US cities, Denver has turned their back historically on the river for good reason. Number one, it was very flood prone. For many, many years. We're correcting some of that ourselves, and a lot of that has already been done regionally. But also, like most US cities, the river was always an open sewer. It was an industrial dumping ground, and that really degraded water quality.
I think it's important to look at the big picture and the final product of what the River Mile is going to bring to the city of Denver and to the river especially. As of right now, there's no place like the River Mile in Denver. There's no place that you can eat, drink, live, interact with the river all in one space. And that's going to bring that to Denver. So it's really exciting to see. And so I think it's important that we don't look at the short term of maybe an amusement park going away that's only usable certain parts of the year, where the River Mile project is going to be accessible for everyone throughout the year. And it's going to bring opportunities to enjoy that space for more people on a more ongoing basis.
What does that give to the region? It gives them separated bike and pedestrian paths. It gives them a standing surf wave right downtown. 7 years ago, we started stocking rainbow trout in this stretch of the river. So it gives me unbelievable joy to walk or scooter or bike by the river and see fly fishermen in downtown Denver, right? And so you start to put all these things together, and hopefully the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, is that we start to really create this ecosystem that people from across the region can embrace.
The biggest challenge is like all the constraints that are around us. We have train tracks on one side, we have contamination on site, we have the river on the other side, we have a lot of eyes on us and a lot of existing utilities, a lot of existing stuff that's all around us.
Yeah, well, so the phases really start with the river work. We are going to dredge roughly 200,000 cubic yards of dirt out of the river. We'll create a more intense meander that mirrors more of what you would see in its natural habitat in the plains. We're going to create elements and points, moments that you can interact with the river that are more concentrated. So you'll have that riparian natural landscape where the river can thrive, and then points where recreation can happen, more concentrated, and it's better for everyone.
In addition to just, adding a meander back into the river, adding pools back into the river, which will lower the temperature of the river, which will be better for aquatic habitat, we're also actively building wetlands at those key outfalls from the various developments around Denver. But we're not adding a bunch of traffic lanes that cause people to have to, cross back and forth and feel more car-centric like a lot of downtown areas are, including Denver and other cities. Our streets are intentionally designed to be very narrow, focus more on pedestrians and bikes to make it feel more like a community and not just like hey, you're in an urban area and you got to deal with all this traffic that's around. That energy towards the river, both from the grade perspective looking down at the river, as well as one of the focal points of the entire development is a huge river-centric plaza where people will gather for various different events 24 hours a day, every day of the year. So we're really excited about those kind of things that everyone can experience. And one thing that the developer likes to talk about is that the development is not designed for, tech people or for people working in the medical industry that are making, $300,000 a year. It's really designed for everyone from 7 to 70 from all different walks of life, so that you're not just living, with a bunch of other people that are exactly like you. It's going to be a community. And that's one of the coolest things that we're able to work on with this project. We know that this is a special place historically for Denver, and we know that when we're done with it, it needs to still be that special place. So we didn't want to just be like, we're designing this in a bubble. This is what we want. We want to move forward with it the way that we want it to be. So very early on in the process, we brought in all these different stakeholders from the city, from the county, from nonprofit agencies like the Greenway Foundation and Trout Unlimited and all these other places to really ask them, what do you want to see out of this project? What's going to make it special for you and for your people that are interested in what you're interested in?
I think we've engaged all stakeholders. If you're watching this and you feel like you're a stakeholder and you haven't been engaged, please reach out. We've talked to kayakers, stand-up paddleboarders, ecologists, river restoration specialists, environmental geomorphology experts, to make sure that what we're building will be a lasting, sustainable, and enjoyable environment.
I've lost count of the number of meetings we've had. At last count, I think we're at 250 public or quasi-public meetings, dealing with a lot of those issues exactly around what is the river, what does the river need to be from a recreational standpoint, but also from a technical standpoint, water quality, water temperature, flood risk, etc. Parks and open space are a big component of the River Mile development, so working hand in hand with not only neighborhood residents but also the Parks Department to make sure that we're not only delivering open space, but open space that makes sense and parks that make sense. A lot of the focus of our rezoning was around affordable housing, and at the time we were very proud to execute what was the most aggressive affordable housing program in the history of the city, and so we're looking forward to welcoming residents of all different levels of income in the River Mile.
There is a couple of considerations where the River Mile project goes above and beyond what's required as far as affordable housing and green space that will be incorporated into the project. So that's something as a developer that you don't always see. Just meet the minimum requirements, get my project to pencil. The River Mile is about doing more than that, going above and beyond.
This is the second rendition of Elitch Gardens. The first one was up at 38th and Tennyson back in the day. And so this is a reconstituted Elitch Gardens that we own and operate now. We are actively looking for a site to build the third rendition of Elitch Gardens, which will be new and improved. And so I hope that we'll be able to deliver a better amusement park experience for the region. And then another thing that made this site unique as we talk about potential disruption is that it's almost an island, if you think about it. It's 1 mile of riverfront on one side, heavy rail and commuter rail on the other side, Spear Boulevard to the north, and Colfax to the south. And so I think that's what the city and the residents realized as we went through the rezoning was, this is a massive scale project that ironically maybe will not be that disruptive. There's no gentrification, there's no displacement. And so it's really activation of this piece of land that has kind of been off limits to the public.
The payoff is to have a trail network that accommodates everyone. We will have a multimodal trail network that will flow the transportation, the traffic, as efficiently as possible. And in a really special, beautiful way that incorporates the river and looks really great.
They're not just a place to drive downtown to go to work and then drive to the suburbs and go home after that. It's the energy that residents 24 hours, 7 days a week bring to a city. In order to induce people to live downtown, we need to make it a livable city. And we can do that through parks and open space and the river, but also man-made amenities that people need to live. They need daycares and they need schools, right? And they need community centers and they need all those things that people have traditionally fled to the suburbs for in Denver. And so if we can bring that downtown, I think we're well on our way to making Denver a greater city.